What is up, Entree fam? Welcome to yet another video comparison. And today is a very interesting day because I had no idea that the SL3, the Canon SL3, was on its way to being released. So we're going to talk about that this great and wonderful evening. Sorry for the delay. If you're watching this live or on the replay, thanks for being here. Have a couple of things that I'll be sharing and whatnot. So make sure that if you haven't already done so, leave any comments, thoughts that you have about or anything, questions or whatever. Make sure you leave that in the wherever comments and live stream or what have you. So it is a lot to try to unpack, and I can't say that I'll be able to go through everything or to go through everything as accurately as I would like to, but I'll try to nail it as best as I can. Simply because this camera was literally just released today, and the fact that we don't have enough footage out there, we don't have enough tests, and the specifications alone is not going to be able to do justice to potentially what the footage may look like, the ability to, attach different lenses and all that different stuff and what have you. But we'll do the best that we can with the specifications and stuff that we have and what we know of Canon and blah, 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 blah. So if you're excited, if you're looking forward to it, make sure, again, engage, ask questions, comments, whatever, along the way. And let's go ahead and get some folks acknowledged here. Thanks for being here. We have Mad 901. Hallelujah. Well, praise the Lord, brother. Glad that you are here. Yusuf Rami saying, please start with an ISO test. We'll talk about it. But I can't say I'll start with it. Michael Simmons in the house. Good to see you. And you're saying that you have the SL2 and I like it, or you like it. And that's wonderful. I know you recently picked that up, so congratulations on the recent purchase. Mad 901 saying hello again. And then you saying, but the SL3 doesn't have Inugu. I'm guessing that means enough upgrades to warrant the new purchase. Well, we'll talk about it. So there are a lot of similarities. There are a lot of things that are... let me switch screens here. There are a lot of things that are very similar between the two cameras. There are a lot of things that kind of make it, it's like not really so sure of how it'll work. So why don't we do this? Let me bring in a few things here because the time came up on me long before I knew it. So we got Alan Higgins. Hello, good to see you. Glad that you are here. I don't know how that comment slid past me. So looks like I'm getting some kind of jitters or something like that. So we'll watch that in the meantime. But otherwise, let's get to it because I don't want to be too long before you. So let's see what we got here. So I'm trying to get this to act right. And hopefully I'll be able to share my screen. But yeah, that jitter just got me questioning. I don't know. All right, guys. So let me jump over to some things here. And we'll get this thing cracking. I may have to unplug and replug my camera because that is very odd. But regardless, we'll switch screens and move on. Okay. My apologies, guys. I'm not sure. I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. But whatevs. All right. So... the Canon M50 versus the SL3. A lot of similarities, a lot of things to cover, but we will try to get to the good stuff as much as we can. All right, so let's jump into this. We have a few things that we know of the SL3 and the M50, and there are a lot of things that are indeed very similar. So... let me make sure y'all can actually see what I'm seeing. It looks like it's cut off at the top there. All right, let's go back. We having all kind of issues today, ain't we, y'all? What in the world is going on? Okay, computer, don't want to participate. No? Alrighty, there we go. That's better. I'll get this thing sorted out one way or the other. All right, so I don't know if the M50 is going to be able to play along with this, but regardless, we'll move it on. All right, SL3, M50, video spec similarities. Some of the things that are very similar between the cameras, whether it's some good things, some bad things, both of them have 4K video, and they have time lapse available. So they both will work. You can use them for whatever you need to as far as the 4K, but of course, it has a crop. So unfortunately, that's something that we have not seen from Canon yet, to where we're able to get just straight up good 4K video. And so that's a thing with that. But with the price range, it's kind of expected at this point. Both of them have 1080p, 60 and 30 frames per second. As far as video is concerned, they both have a 30-minute recording limit, which I would have ideally like to have seen go away, simply because the like if we look at so there I am, thankfully I'm back. So if we look at the recent cameras that came out from the Sony A6400, the Sony A7 III, if you look at Panasonic G90 that just came out, or is it the G95? I forget how they named it. I think it's something like the G90, G95, something like that. I think it's G95 in America. All of those, they don't have recording limits. The G85 didn't have a recording limit, so it kind of sucks that we're still having to deal with that and look at that kind of nonsense when we're talking about just regular 30-minute recording. So, I mean, again, at the price point, I guess it's kind of expected when it comes to Canon, so let's switch over. And then we have access to the Canon EF and EFS lenses. So both of them, you can adapt the lenses. You can do whatever it is that you want when it comes to what you'll be able to use it for and so forth. But as far as the microphone jack, that's basic, lightweight. They're both pretty good as far as that is concerned. APS sensor size, so they're both the same sensor size and all that good stuff or whatever. Small form factor. So if small is a good thing for you, or that's something you're looking forward to, then that's the thing for you. Similar battery performance. So even though when it comes to the M50 as well as the Canon SL3, the SL2, or those are all pretty small cameras. As a matter of fact, from the testing that I did, if you guys saw that video where I was comparing, or not really comparing, but just showing what it would look like and some of the new features with Ecamm Live that I'm using right now. Any issues is just me not being well prepared right now, but M50, pretty small form factor. So it's not a big camera. I mean, it's really, really small. So it works really well. It's something you can just kind of throw in your purse, throw in your bag, even my little camera bag, all of that. It's just really, really easy when it comes to ease of use and all those wonderful things. All right. So we have also similar battery performance. It takes the LPE 17 in the new SL3 and the LPE 12, but when it's in the camera, you'll get about the same performance out of either of them, just for the way each of these cameras are built. So about the same time frame, and I got up to 2.5 hours on the M50 just doing 1080p 24 frames per second video recording. Like I said, similar sensor size, so it's honestly, I think this is probably the same sensor, simply because the M50 and the M50 was the first camera that actually came out with this Digic 8 processor. And so this sensor that's in this camera right now is the same. I'm pretty sure it's the same because it's a 24 megapixel sensor. So I'm pretty sure that that's the same exact sensor that's in the SL3. I don't think they did anything special because they're used to using sensors and all that extra other stuff. Final thing, same price. $650 is what you're looking at when it comes to the M50 and the SL3, which is pretty cool. So you get to take your run-of-the-mill when it comes to which camera you actually want to go with. Next thing we have is the SL3 positive video specs. Now, I tried to find some better stuff, but it really these cameras are just like, they're really so similar. It's not anything to really point out between them. It's pretty much the same. So, I mean, it's not trying to be, more M50 versus SL3. It's like I'm not being biased just because I have the M50, but it's just they really are that similar. And I'm specifically doing video in regards to, because a lot of the photo specs, they're about the same, and you can about expect the same stuff. It'll be fine for photos, family gatherings, and so forth. And it's really at that point dependent upon the lens quality. You're still getting dual pixel autofocus, the little eye tracking stuff, and all of that. And people are making a big fuss over what the SL3 can do, simply because it is the first DSLR, Canon Rebel DSLR camera that can do 4K, and that has the eye, but it's the same M50 stuff, so it's not really anything spectacular. So it natively can accept the EF and the EFS lenses, meaning that it can do both lens sizes without any problems whatsoever. So you're not really having to worry about just whatever you're deciding to put on the camera as far as the lenses. And it has a USB Type-C, which right now it doesn't have anything that we know of as far as I don't know what they're planning to use it for. I'm seeing some other camera companies do some other stuff with their USB-C ports, where it's pulling audio through it and maybe being able to use that as a potential headphone jack, so you'll be able to listen to audio. I highly doubt, with the way that Canon treats their customers, and especially at this price point, I highly doubt us seeing a whole bunch of features being used for that USB-C, but that's something. But pretty much that's all that there is. And then when it comes to the Canon not Canon M50, but the Canon SL3 negative video specs, it's honestly not a whole bunch of those either. So we also have no focus peaking, which means that when you're trying to manually focus and all of that, that you don't have to worry about seeing the you don't get to see like the outline, the colored outline, which you can pick the colors red, blue, or green. I think it is, or yellow, red, blue, or yellow. No focus peaking, so that's a thing. Slightly heavier. It's really not a big negative because it's not that big of a deal, but it's slightly heavier than the M50, and it actually has a worse 4K video crop. I don't understand how Canon is comfortable with doing this over and over and over again, and I get that you're not going to get all the bells and whistles at this price point, but I still would ideally like to see them give something. It's been quite some time since they have given anything to people at this price point, and it's just kind of getting long in the tooth at this point. A couple of things is that it has a 9-point autofocusing system. You still will get the dual pixel autofocus even in the 1080p and all of that. You're still going to be able to get that stuff, but when it comes to the actual focusing points, the M50 has 99, and then the SL3 has 9. Now, the question becomes for a lot of people like, okay, they both have dual pixel autofocus, so what does it matter? Well, the difference is when you look at what the sensor actually looks like on the inside, if you look really closely, you'll see those dots around. This is like with the mirror popped up. You'll be able to see the dots popped around it and all of that good stuff. And those are those 9 auto-focusing points. So instead of just the M50 like I showed you, and I'll actually show you the sensor again, because on the M50, if you look really closely, and I'm trying to get this as close as I can, if you look, okay, I'm bouncing that around so you can check the light, there's no dots on there. So there are no dots on the M50, and all of those phase detection points that are usually like on the sensor, that's like, it's just 9. So the SL2 had 9, this one has 9, but the M50 has 99. But I wanted to show that to you because a lot of people have no idea what they're talking about, and they just figure like dual pixel autofocus is dual pixel autofocus and it should be fine. And it sucks. It just really sucks. It's like Canon plays around with that. And just to give you a quick tip and a hint to what I'll be wrapping this stream up with, because we're not going to be too long tonight. I think Canon is going to start playing around with how strong their dual pixel autofocus is. I think for the longest time, dual pixel autofocus was as we know it, which is just good, which it still is. But I think with the introduction of the M50, the SL2, and all these other cameras, they're going to start playing around with what has autofocus and what doesn't. And based on price, I think that they're going to start, because I'm thinking that they're going to have a higher priced EOS R type camera that comes out eventually. I think they're going to start playing around with how well one camera focuses versus another. So something like the EOS R may be at 100% dual pixel autofocus, and then something like the M50 may be at about 80, 85. You know what I'm saying? And then something like maybe the RP could be at 80, 85, maybe 79% accurate. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think they're going to start playing around with that. That's just my guess into what I think is going to be coming down the pipeline, but I think that's something that we can begin to look at. It's not all doom and gloom. I actually made a mistake here. This is not a full frame camera, so I meant to take that off. So that's an error on my part. So minus this part, it natively accepts both EF and EFS lenses, so you don't need an adapter. You do get the larger battery. This is something that I found very, very interesting. This will not be relevant to a lot of new beginners, but if you want to play around with some video stuff, when you do an external recorder, it said, and this is according to, I think it was either B&H Photo Video's website or Canon's website, because I don't remember. I was pulling from a couple different sources, because some make some clear in different spots. But it did state specifically, you get 422 10-bit, which deals with like the color information and all that stuff. It gets the full 4K video, and it's 422 10-bit. Most stuff is 420 8-bit, like what you would see in just any general average camera. But this is a big deal for people who like to color grade and stuff like that. It gives your camera more information. So you're going to get that 4K at 24 and 30 frames per second. And then you'll still be able to get the regular full HD at this 60i is interlaced, and then just regular 60p. So that's a thing. I think that that's good, but I don't think that'll be relevant for a lot of people that'll be buying this camera. But if you want to play around with video and coloring and stuff like that, then that'll be something cool, because you'll have to invest in an external recorder to even make that possible. But this gives me hope. This gives me hope because hopefully that one day we see this come to whatever upgraded type camera the EOS RP may be, or an M6 or M8 type model or something like that, or whatever. Like I said, again, positive USB-C, lightweight. It's not full frame, so that is my mistake on that particular slide. So, of course, we know what the M50 does and what it does not do, but this is just to go over that just real quick. Canon M50 video specs, the negatives, 2.56 crop in 4K, but it's still not as bad as the SL3 at 2.64 is what the SL3 has. So that's a thing. No headphone jack, but neither does the SL3, excuse me. So that's not a huge thing. No clean HDMI out straight out of camera. Now that's something that's like pretty interesting because we don't know a few things when it comes to what the SL3 can do in regards to that. Haven't seen anything, but the fact that it has this USB type C on there, which is still kind of like a half and half. According to the spec sheets, it says it has it. I haven't seen it like in use on a video yet, so hopefully I'm right in that that's there, and that we can see more features start to come out of that, whether that's it being a headphone jack or whether that being used for some other stuff, and maybe hopefully clean HDMI. I just really want that to be a normal thing when it comes to what Canon offers. Like, we should be able to just do normal stuff. I'm using this video right now through Ecamm Live, and they set it up so all I have to do is plug that USB cord directly into the camera, and I don't need an Elgato Cam Link anymore. I don't need anything. All I need is a stupid phone cord from 1995. So let's run through this. We'll wrap up and get over to the comments. No internal battery charging, no native lens lineup, or a small native lens lineup. So that's pretty much it as far as that is concerned. Final thing on that, because that's pretty much it as far as what I have for details. So What do y'all think? Do you think that the SL3, all these numbers, names, and letters and stuff, do you think it's worth it? Because it is brand new. Both cameras brand new. It's the same price as the M50 right now. The difference in weight is minimal. So one is, what is it? Have my notes. 1.41 pounds for the SL3, 1.6 pounds for the M50, and that's with a memory card and a battery and stuff. The weight will increase or decrease depending on what lens that you add and stuff like that. The only real difference that I saw, which is something that I forgot about those DSLR cameras like the SL3, you don't need an adapter. So if you want to put a 35 millimeter lens like I have right now on there, you don't need an adapter. You can just use it as is. It doesn't matter. But if you do, then I don't know. I mean, you can probably find some EF lens adapters, and that was something else that I looked into. I want to show you guys real quick. So this is Metabones. Metabones is the company that is known for doing the speed boosters and stuff. And so there's a bunch of different adapters, but these things are pricey as heck. So you have like stuff from the EF lens to micro four thirds. So I could have kept my G85 lenses if I want to and adapt those lenses or whatever. You got them where you can go to Sony. You got them where you can go to other different, like all kinds of stuff. But you see these prices though too. Like this is crazy, you know? So I don't know about all that. But regardless, my opinion, final thoughts, SL3 M50, they're about the same. I think there are some good things about it, and I think there are some weird things about it. I'm just not sure. If I had to make my pick, which everybody always asks me, well, if you had to buy it, what would you get? I would still go with as of right now, with what I know, I'll hold on to that. Let's jump to the comments because I need to get back to some stuff. So hold that thought. So Yusuf, you said, please start with an ISO test. So here's the thing. I can't really give an ISO test of one versus the other. The camera just came out today. It's not a whole lot of people. It seems that they gave that camera to or either has done extensive testing on it. From what I see, the sensor looks the same. Doesn't look like they offered any more capabilities of what it can or can't do. So even if the spec is slightly better, I think you're still going to see similar performance. And honestly, with cameras these cheap, as far as the M50 and the SL3 sub $700, so cameras under $700, I think you're going to see similar performance. But the saving grace is lenses. Adapting the lenses makes a huge difference because a shot like this using the kit lens would probably have sprinkles going in some of the shadowy areas of behind me. Even though I have several lights on, my two soft boxes, ceiling, and the light behind me, it still you would see some sprinkles in there. It's not really a characteristic of the camera to be strong enough for solid ISO performance. So you're going to have to rely on the lenses. And that's similar to like stabilization with the camera too. Neither one of these have built-in in-body image stabilization. So you're still relying on what the digital stuff does in the camera plus the lenses. So I think when we think of ISO with these cameras, we need to consider is not that this camera is going to be some low light beast or something, because neither of them will be. But with the help of a good lens, then you'll get some pretty good to great performance out of them. And that's my opinion on that. So I think when people think of ISO or low light performance, you're really just thinking of indoor, outdoor, dusk. Maybe it's a little dark, or it could be dark outside. At that point, you want to rely on your lens and not so much so what the camera can do. So Alan Higgins, I thought I got you there, but said hello. So I just want to make sure I get you, and I'm gonna run through these comments. Said Michael saying the SL2 with Rokinon lenses, it is the bee's knees. Yeah, I think because those are manual lenses, and that's where I don't play well with. I don't want to be manually adjusting stuff. Yeah, it does look really, really good, really sharp. So again, it's any lack that the cameras have, those lenses would do well. But those manual lenses, I just don't want to play with. So Save Like a Pro with Leah said, hi, how are you? I am doing fantastic, and I have my wonderful cup of coffee to ensure that I do better and better by each sip. So Yusuf Remy saying SL3 or 6D or the Nikon 6 or Nikon D610. So I'm not familiar with Nikon at all. It's a company that I just stay away from, like when it comes to their DSLRs, because they just seem like your granddaddy's camera company. You know, it's just like, and that's nothing against their performance because they are pretty much the same. I just didn't like it. I didn't like the menu systems. The DSLR seemed old and like just old, you know, and grungy-ish. The Z6 is really good that I know of. I really can't really push too many DSLRs right now because they all have similar to same issues, whether it is, you know, just not modern. You're not able to connect your phone and connect to the app. So there's no Wi-Fi. So a lot of the cool stuff that you can do with these cameras, which both of the M50s, SL3, they have, you know, all of that stuff. The 6D, I mean, these DSLR cameras, it depends on what you want to do. Take photos or something, maybe a Nikon, because that's great. A 6D, of course, it would probably be great. I don't think that has a flip screen on it. I don't think. And then the SL3, again, it's price point and all of that stuff. I would stay away from DSLRs at this point unless you're planning to do photos for real. Simply because, again, a lot of the functionality that you get from a mirrorless, even a cheaper one, is far superior, in my opinion, than what you are able to get from a DSLR camera. And then when it comes to the audios, all of my videos, I'm recording straight into the camera. Anytime like early on with my videos, and you saw just like where it started to get just a little bit better, like 2 years ago or so, I was using the Canon T5i. Which is very similar to something like a 6D as far as the DSLR type format and all of that, minus sensor size. Audio sucks on DSLRs. And that's one thing that's questionable too about the SL3. Does it have good audio preamps? Are we still dealing with crippling stuff like in video, you don't get shutter and aperture priority so that, you know, it adjusts the lighting, not based off the ISO, but maybe off the shutter speeds or off the aperture or the f-stop. So I don't know. I can't speak to the 6D. I've never tried it. Can't speak to the Nikon. Never tried it. SL3 seems to be okay. At this point, they're probably cheap enough for you to try it for yourself. I honestly can't give too much of a good opinion on that one, so I apologize. Jen saying, hey, DG, what is going on? Said SL3. Don't know what you're trying to say there. So let me scroll past. Alan Higgins is saying Yongnuo 50mm f1.8 is $47. Great start out for the M50 with a comm light adapter for $43. So less than $100 for a nice starting set for the M50. Great portraits so far. I definitely agree. Only reason why I say the 35mm lens was my personal choice, because I had the Yongnuo 50mm lens before, and it is really great. But without a speed booster to kind of help pull some of that distance back, like you're looking at a ridiculous lens size. Like it's just too much for me personally. But for portraits, you probably got space for it. So no complaints there. So Michael helping me out there says the G95 in America. Okay, cool. So you're saying the battery pack has space for 2 batteries. I'm guessing that's the G95. But yeah, they do have the same sensor. So we have Mr. Joshua Verwers, the official Joshua Verwers has a wire. What's up, Mr. Verwers? Good to see you. Sorry I missed the stream. I was preparing for my presentation this evening. So good to see you. If you guys haven't checked out Joshua Verwer's channel, he is doing Veda right now, which is vlog every day in April. So really cool stuff he has going on his channel. So check that out if you're looking for wonderful inspirational content and bougie coffee. And so Michael saying I use the A7S monitor for focus peaking. Oh, okay. So you can get the focus peaking other ways and like, yeah, through more advanced stuff. So that's a great point there. So thanks for sharing that. So you said, wow, seriously, sick face or angry face. I'm not sure what that comment is referencing, but I'm sure it's one of the negatives of the SL3. All right. So it said, Canon be tripping. All right. So you said, I think you're right. Okay. I bought recently the SL2. Guess you're asking, is it worth the upgrade to the SL3 now? That would be a good comparison. So, quick rundown of the differences between the SL2 and SL3. One has USB-C. One has, which is the SL3. The SL3 has USB-C. The SL3 has that 4K in silly, stupid mode that Canon has with no real good autofocus or contrast. The eye detection autofocus, maybe. New sensor. No. Your phone probably has 4K for the few times that maybe you want to use it. The sensor upgrade is not anything significant simply because they aren't pushing that sensor yet. So it's not like the sensor isn't stressing to like max out that what its capabilities are and what it can do. If I had the SL2 and I was in your shoes and then SL3 came out, it's not worth buying because it's not a significant upgrade. Said this gives you hope. Should we go to Fuji? Honestly, that's where I'm looking. If Canon does not release, by the time I'm ready to upgrade, so SL2 came out 2017, which is why we're now seeing an SL3 in 2019. M50 came out last year in 2018. So in 2020, I expect for an M50 somewhere between 2019 and 2020, an upgrade to the M5 and the M6, which should be the higher spec mirrorless cameras. So unless I see, because I prefer APS-C sensor size instead of like full frame, I don't need all that. I like the benefits that the speed booster give me, and I want to stay on the EFM mount because I have the speed booster. And so I want to get another speed booster to go with my other M50 and just use full frame Canon lenses. That's my initial intention as of today. Moving forward, I'm hoping to see an upgrade to the M6 this year because that came out at NAB 2017. So I hope this year we see an M5 or M6 upgrade. And hopefully with that, I'll be able to stay within the Canon ecosystem. Otherwise, Fuji does look good, but at the same time, I would probably wait, maybe go ahead and get the EOS R, even though that's not some significant upgrade because it's dropping down in price. And it's a $600 difference between what you can get a used Canon R versus a brand new Canon RP right now, and then better lens options. So that's the thing. So he said, everyone remember to thumbs up Diane. Thumbs up for Diana. So thanks so much, Alan. I appreciate that. And yes, please give the video a thumbs up if you're enjoying what you're seeing currently. Said, nope, not worth it. Canon needs to do better. Indeed, they do. These incremental upgrades suck. Said, nope, not worth it. M50 still looks better compared to it unless I'm missing something big. Not at all. Nope, not at all. And they're priced the same. And like I said, that it's those differences. Something else I didn't even mention. So we get what's called the EVF, or the electronic viewfinder, which means you basically get a mini TV when you look through that eye hole, versus an optical viewfinder, which is the old school way, which is why you're dealing with those 9-point autofocusings. You don't have silent shooting probably. So even though you only have that in auto on the M50, you're still going to hear that ka-chunk and that clap every time you press the button to take a picture. So you can't even get away. I like being at church and sneaking and getting one of the sisters and taking their pictures when they're not looking or they're eating, and it's just like, but they can't hear me. So I have fun with that little silent shooting, even though it's not like as good as the G85 or G95 is or will be. It's just like, I have fun with that, taking pictures when nobody's looking. So it doesn't have that because it's got a shutter in there, and I doubt that Canon added that in there. So Alan saying, not understanding Canon's mindset at the moment. Even both these cameras have 24 frames per second, but more expensive EOS R doesn't now. These two cameras are virtually the same. Confusing. Yeah. And it's a guy that did a video on that saying like how Canon continues to do stupid stuff. Let's just call it what it is, right? Because on this channel, you get real. I don't know how to do anything other than to give you real. Canon continues to do all of this stair stacking stuff. So you get the same camera 7 times and then they come out with something silly. Now here's my breakdown. Here's my thought. The Canon R should have cost what the Canon RP cost at $1,300. The Canon RP should cost what the M50 cost when it came out, which was $899. The M50 should cost what it costs right now, if not $500. And then the SL2 should not exist. The RP honestly should not exist, because what they should have done, don't come out with the M50. Well, you can come out with the M50. Yeah, let's say you come out with the M50. Get rid of the SL3. We don't need that. Technically didn't need the SL2, but throw it in there for good measure for the people that had an SL1, because that would be a nice upgrade from the SL1. And my mom has that camera, so I know. And then take the RP body. So I have the M50 for people that want a cheaper camera. Put that at $550 max for the M50. Straight up, that's what it's worth. Then, for less than $1,000, create the Canon RP on the RF mount so that you have access to stuff. Take away all of that extra nonsense. Keep the specs of the M50 seated right inside the RP. There you go. That would have been a better decision than what Canon has done right now, which is a bunch of wasting money. It can't be any research and development going into this, because it makes absolutely no sense. Why would you waste money on creating almost identical cameras, just like Alan is saying, and then you're doing the same stuff over and over and over again? It doesn't make any sense to me either. So, it is what it is. Said, okay, Hugh Brownstone. Hey, what's up, Alec? Good to see you. Glad that you are here. Michael saying, I agree with you. Said Nikon is slightly behind the times. I think Nikon is going to catch up, honestly. He said young new 50mm f1.8 lens. Said it's good for the... I'm confused. I'm confused. I don't know. We'll come back to that one. All right, so let me scroll down. So Joshua Verwers, you're saying, I just picked up a used EOS M for a second camera because I heard it can work with Magic Lantern, and so far it looks better than the SL3. That is very interesting because it actually can, and you're thinking along those same lines that I was, but I caught this other M50 for $300, so I was just like, I'll just stick with what I got. But yeah, I have seen reviews from EOS HD and what he's been able to pull out of it, and essentially it crops down on that sensor for the EOS M, which was Canon's first mirrorless line, for those of you that don't know, and it's able to get some really crazy stuff and raw recording and this, that, and whatever. But I know I'm not really going to play with that stuff too much, so I'll let it be. But I think that's a good find. So Ernest Pacheco saying, do we know if autofocus works in 4K? Nope. I don't even need to see video footage for it. No, it does not. It's going to be contrast. I think B&H in their review video said that it doesn't either, but it's the same price as the M50. They ain't put it in the M50, same sensor and all that stuff. They want you to pay Canon R prices for something silly like autofocus to work in 4K. Because it's not even in the little silly RP. Oh, and if you haven't already seen and done so already, I did a voting poll, and I want to check on that right now. I did a voting thing on my channel on the community tab. So I'm thinking of renting a camera, and I want to rent either the Canon R or the Canon RP. So if you want to vote on what you think it should be, make sure you go to the community tab on Entree Women TV and click whether you want it to be the R or the RP. I'm only going to get it for a couple of days because not a whole lot I need to do with the camera. I'll do some video comparisons and stuff like that. Maybe take some photos and all that good stuff. But go to the community tab on Entree Women TV and vote if you want to see the next some videos on a Canon R or the Canon RP. All right, so Michael said, I disagree with the upgrade. It is not worth it. Said my Galaxy S9 has 4K, and I'm looking at Fuji 2. Oh, yeah. Because Fuji is bringing the heat. So, yeah. Man. All right. Okay, so Alec Godwin saying, hashtag M50 will still rule 2019. Only a cam with the same spec at a lower price can displace it. That's true too. And that's why I saw that they did the 422 10-bit external output, and I'm really hoping that that's not a typo, because that's quite a descriptive typo to not have it, to have it on there at B&H's website. So I'm hoping that this year we'll see a Canon M6 with the M50 style flip out screen. So instead of it flipping up, it'll flip off to the side. And I'm hoping that maybe something like the Canon RP, but with M50 specs and some little bit better stuff maybe come out for the M6, and maybe it'd be around the same price. It'll probably start at about $900, and then hopefully it comes down to, but who knows? Canon's so unpredictable. They just ridiculous. It said, Michael saying, RP equals rest in peace, rip off professionals. Rip off professionals. Hecky no. So Alex Miner, the official Alex Miner, who said on Facebook, you guys, he said that I stir up controversy, and why I always got to have controversial topics and posts. I don't think so. I'm just trying to bring the truth. He said, I should have known this stream was coming. Oh, yeah. Anytime there's anything that's kind of relevant, I think, to the community, we're going to be bringing it to the table. So that's all that I really have for today. Not a whole lot to dig into with this camera. Like I said, it's not been a whole lot of video out there. With a good lens, of course, you can get good video on either of these cameras. With a good, probably external battery, you can probably do a lot of the same stuff. Can you use all of the little hacks and the stuff that I found on the M50? Is all that stuff probably going to still be relevant? Probably, with the exception of maybe a few, because it's a DSLR. Will you be able to do the clean HDMI out hack? I don't know. Will you be able to do the aperture and shutter priority in video and have it work? Because it doesn't work on the M50. They turned that off. I don't know. It's kind of like, what's the point of the SL3 right now? If you don't have a camera, do you want the SL3 or the M50? If I had to make that decision again, I still would choose the M50 because it's a mirrorless camera, because it has an electronic viewfinder. It has 99 autofocusing points instead of 9. I can use the speed booster. Those speed boosters cost like anywhere from $400 to $600 I saw from Metabones. And it's not like a whole bunch of EF to EF just to keep your regular same lenses that I saw. You can correct me if I'm wrong, to just add on the camera to kind of help with some of the stuff. So the crop is going to be more severe. Yeah, you can natively put EF lenses on there without an adapter, but you don't have anything to minimize that magnification effect that you get from it being a 2.64 times crop in video in 4K versus being able to use the speed booster, and it's only a 4mm difference between the two. You know what I'm saying? Between full frame and the M50 at that point. So, it is what it is. So Joshua Verber is saying, what about a 90D? Will we see one? That is questionable, because I feel like Canon's wasting money on cameras like the RP and the SL3. It's like the cameras that actually need an upgrade, need an upgrade. I don't know, because the 90D would be sweet. The 80D had a headphone jack, a flip out screen, all iVideo recording, so it was really great quality. Bigger battery, I think. Yeah, bigger battery. It had all the stuff. I was looking at the prices of an 80D today, because I'm like, with all the stuff that Canon is doing, they still haven't surpassed that camera, and just the basic something. So maybe it was too good and they don't want to waste any money. Because it's like, if anything, the RP could have been the 90D upgrade and just throw it all in there. So I'm hoping maybe they'll use the RP body and come out with something that's worth, like the name of a 90D type something, with it being pretty good. But I don't see a whole lot of benefits to what they're doing right now. Did they say what the crop is in 4K? Yes, it is a 2.64 crop in 4K on the SL3. It's only a 2.56 times crop on the M50. So, Canon. So you're not controversial. You're real. Thanks, Michael. I appreciate the support. So I thought the SL3 was a joke at first. It is. It's a joke, but it's real. Unfortunately. No, I thought I woke up this morning, I'm like, SL3, like, who needs that right now? You know what I'm saying? Like, fix the RP and just be done with it. But oh no, said the M50 yes. So that's all we're going to get into for this evening. Like I said, it's not a whole bunch to really unpack with this camera. I wish I could do a good stream on, I can't believe Canon dropped this. No, it's a camera that has USB-C, that has internal recording. Oh, that's another thing I forgot. My bad. So I think you can do charging with that USB-C. I hope. We don't know. It's not fully confirmed yet. But I hope they just use the port for what it can do. I hope. But it's Canon. I doubt it. They're so cheap. So, I wish there was a camera with the headphone jack, with, it could be the RF mount for all I care. I don't care. I don't care what mount it is, that has good, to decent low light. So even with the kit lens, it looks really, really good indoors and outdoors. And just throw out, it's just like, it's sad that Panasonic comes out with the G95 and it's still a far better camera than the Canon R. And you got Canon like, hey guys, we made an SL3. You want to see it? No. Not really. Alrighty. All right, guys. So I'm going to wrap it up. Call it good. So, guys, if you enjoyed what you saw, got any thoughts, comments, or otherwise, make sure you leave them down below. And if you want to see a video that I did on the Canon no, there is no S, versus the Canon RP and the Canon M50, make sure you click on that video right on over yonder. But as always, guys, live with passion. I will see you in the next video.